going from basketball to football, I know we just heard of a signing. Was it yesterday? What
Yeah.
do you guys think? Baltimore? Odell? Man, big signing, but big risk. 15 million guaranteed. That's what they're saying. 15 million guaranteed. What do you guys think about that?
I'm
What do
gonna
you guys?
I'm gonna start this off first because that really pissed me off. It's like,
Why?
okay,
Why
so
did
you're
that
gonna
piss you
give
off?
you're gonna give someone who most teams were only gonna give a minimum to a $5 million contract to, and you give him 15 million, but you can't give your quarterback the money. And I feel like this is some kind of bullshit facade that they pulled with what were we talking about? They tried to do something to Lamar before, but it's some kind of, oh, we got your receiver, stay here, Lamar. When you had his best receiver and traded him where did he go? Arizona.
Romeo.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
I feel like they're,
Hollywood.
huh?
Oh, so no, I was saying his name. Hollywood Brown. Sorry.
Yeah, Hollywood Brown. I just feel like they're like playing with, how to explain this? They're playing with Lamar. They're saying, yeah, we want to sign you, but we're not going to give you this. And we traded your best receiver, but now we're going to get you this receiver who's got a torn ACL, hasn't played in a year, is old. He's like, what, 30s now? He's in his 30s. I mean, I feel like this is just them trying to act like they're trying to help Lamar out by getting him a receiver when you could just pay the man. Just pay the man and he'd be more happy than just getting him this receiver who's not going to do much.
I don't think Lamar falls for the trap.
Yeah, exactly. He's smarter
He's
than
seen
that.
it. He did tweet. You guys got to remember, he did tweet. But at the same time, I don't think this is enough. I don't think
not even
this
close.
this doesn't get you over a Cincinnati Bengals team. This probably gets you over a Pittsburgh team that's rebuilding in your division. This probably gets you over a Cleveland Browns team that can't find a way. Yeah, they got talent, but but you're right. I don't know how you give him 15 million. You don't give your quarterback what he wants. And it's not 15 million just like that. No, it's 15 million guaranteed.
Yeah, it's 18 million. It's 18 million with the bonuses.
And that's completely dumb. What about you? I mean, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I think the Baltimore Ravens have continued to just have a really bad offseason, and they literally are supplanting that with given a 30-year-old receiver who's been out the league for about a year and a half, 15 to 18 million contract. So the reason why I didn't like it is, you guys have kind of touched on this, and we've touched on it a little bit before. You have someone like Lamar Jackson who, you can have high faith in him or not as much faith in him, but at the end of the day, he's always proven that he's been at least a legit top 10 QB at minimum, right? I mean, he obviously has an MVP in his name, but at minimum, he's top 10 QB. So if you're an organization like the Ravens, yeah, you at the end of the day, you got to figure out right away what you're going to do with them. Whether are you going to move on with them or are you going to keep them on your team? And so the fact that it's all leaked in the media, we all know the issues they've had. Now you talk about they have they're colluding with all these other teams for them to not give him a great deal. And come on, man, look at around the league. How many teams need QBs? We know this. And I mean, look at the Raiders, for example. The Raiders signed Jimmy G to basically a top 10 to 12 QB contract. Okay. Does anyone really see Jimmy G competing with Mahomes, with with the guy Herbert, right?
Yes.
You're going to, and so
he's going to win us the division.
So to me, if you're the Raiders, you should have either went super young and went, rebuild, right, which you probably should be doing, or you could have theoretically traded that 7th pick for a Lamar Jackson. And so if you're the Ravens, you have a top 10 pick and you have all this money now you can use that you don't want to give to Lamar Jackson, and you have the pick now. And so I just think their whole offense has been really bad. And then on top of that, you give Odell Beckham, who let's go back to him, right? Last season didn't play because he was hurt, tore ACL. Season before, he had just been traded to the Rams, and he was a good piece. He definitely helped the Rams win.
He would have won MVP had he not get injured. or had he not gotten injured? Because he
Yeah,
was
he was
instrumental in that playoff run. During the regular season, they're kind of forcing it to him, but during the playoffs, he was instrumental.
He was a really good piece, but like you don't pay guys like that. I mean, for example, Malcolm Smith, right? Seahawks. I'm a Seahawks fan. They won the Super Bowl. Malcolm Smith was the MVP, you know. So, and he was just an average player. So at the end,
True.
not saying you're saying this, KJ, but MVP, you know, anyone can win an MVP
Yeah.
award. Well, you know what I'm saying? Doesn't mean you're a superstar. And so, you know, my whole point is, you know, you got a guy who's 30, been out for a year and a half. You're paying him 15 to 18 mil. The Ravens receivers have been bad for a decade now, right? I mean, they had to go get Steve Smith from the Panthers, 8-9 years ago, to make him a guy who was like 30 in the mid 30s, their number one receiver. He ended up going off for 1 year, but since then they still haven't recovered. You know, they had Hollywood Brown for a good few years. He was all right, but you know, they drafted a number one receiver last year, Bateman, didn't do anything special, and so now you're having to then go and sign a receiver. I mean, you don't. Ravens never spend money in free agency very rarely. They then could have used that money on a younger receiver like a Jacoby. I'm spacing on his last name from
Myers?
Jacoby Myers, who was the youngest receiver and probably the top receiver going into the market. Instead, they'd rather spend it on Odell, who's 30, who's going to be 30 this season. I don't think he's that vertical threat like he used to be at all. And so, and then let's be honest, Lamar Jackson's not that guy that's just going to be sitting out in the pocket throwing it deep, anyways. So I just think it's a bad matchup, man.
Well,
you know,
it doesn't make sense though. Like, it's a 1-year contract, and then what are you gonna do? If you sign Lamar, are you gonna be able to afford him? Are you gonna be able to afford Odell?
I heard, let me know if this is true, guys. Somebody's saying that Lamar can play on this franchise tag, play, and then act like he gets hurt, and they still got to pay him the whole year for that franchise tag. Is that correct?
I think I don't know about that, but I know that they have until week 11 to pay him. Something about week 11. Oh, I think it's up until week 11 he can look to sign with a different team.
On that franchise tag.
On that franchise tag, yes.
But like I said, he can. I'm trying to see if you guys can look this up.
I think after week 11, he can sit the last 6 games and still get his franchise tag.
Oh, man.
At the end of the day, though, the situation is unheard of. The fact that they gave him a transition tag, which is about as easy for any other team to come in. I mean, and we had our argument a few weeks back because I had like Efren, you remember this? We had to tell you the Seahawks didn't want to trade for him because at the end of the day, they ended up getting Geno for about top 13, top 15 money. That's a really good deal. But like I said, a team like the Raiders, man, I mean, imagine this, bro. You literally could have got Lamar Jackson, signed him that franchise tag, and now you're paying Lamar Jackson probably less on that tag, or at least close to what Jimmy's making, you know? And so it's just an unheard of situation where all these teams, QB teams, you have a guy who's literally on a franchise tag that's saying, hey, he's available, and you're not going for this guy. You know,
he's getting that Kaepernick treatment.
Basically. So at the end of the day, man, I mean, your best option is you're signing a receiver for 15 to 18 mil, and you don't even know what QB will be thrown to that said receiver. You know, it's mind boggling to me. It doesn't make any sense. And yeah, I wouldn't be very happy if I was a Ravens fan. And it's sad too, because you guys know this. Ravens traditionally have a really good franchise. They are winners, you know, they win, and they're very smart with their money. And I don't get them at all personally, but I just think Odell's kind of living on his reputation, man, like from his Giant days. And then, like you said, KJ, he did have in fairness to him, he did go off during those playoffs. So, I mean, the last we saw him, he was going off. But, man, you missed a year and a half, and you're going to make it 18 million, and you're not a pass rusher. You're not a left tackle. You're not
Well, I feel like he will have a good year this year, and then he'll sign somewhere else. Even if it's for less money, he'll get – well, because it's only in 1 year.
I don't think he has a good year because he don't have nobody that's going to be able to throw to him.
But I mean, look at all these other players that have no.
Hold on, Huntley can't. Bro, we all seen Huntley last year, the backup quarterback.
In one game,
throw that tight ends, bro.
He was doing pretty good during the regular season.
No. But he didn't. He was throwing to tight ends. He can barely throw to them.
I don't know.
He needs Lamar. He needs Lamar to come back.
That's the
only way Odell Beckham gets a bigger deal. If Lamar comes back.
Well, that's the thing.
You better hope.
I don't think he gets a bigger deal.
If you're a Ravens fan, and I'm talking to all the Ravens fans, if you're a Ravens fan, You better hope that Odell talks to Lamar and tells him, hey, just help me out these first 11 games and give me my stats and however we are in the season, whatever. But after that, you can sit all you want.
I don't think he's gonna do that though, because they're not. I don't think they're tight like that.
That's
But
but
the thing
that's
is, I feel like I don't think Odell's gonna get a big contract. I think what happens is he's getting this 18 million this year. He's gonna play well enough. They're gonna see, hey, he doesn't even need to like. They're gonna understand. Like most owners are gonna understand. Yeah, he's got Huntley thrown to him, but he still can move. He can still. His releases are still good. He could do all this where he can go to. He could go to a Dallas Cowboys and sign a 3-year, $10 million a year. He doesn't need to make 15 million.
Hold on.
No, but I'm not saying. I'm saying any other team that needs a receiver.
There's a reason he went to go visit the Cowboys last year, and the Cowboys did not sign him.
No, I know, but I'm not saying just the Cowboys. I'm saying he could go to the Titans and get a 3-year, $10 million where he's got a home.
The Titans?
No, but I'm saying he could go to another team. He's not going to go.
Teams that don't have quarterbacks, KJ.
Okay, but he's not going to go back to the Ravens with no quarterback.
He's not going to go.
But hold on.
He could go to Seattle and on a 3-year, $10 million deal.
Let me just jump in there for 2 seconds. Let me just jump in for 2 seconds, though. So, again, we're assuming, though, that Odell is going to come back the same player. We just don't know that, And to that point, too, it's like we're also assuming Odell's going to go off with no QB. Who's his QB right now? We don't know. You know what I'm saying? So he's not in a situation where he's set up to get a decent contract because, again, we don't know his QB. And you got to remember, he'll be 31 next year. He's basically been on that 1-year status now. So, like, to give a 31, he would be a 31 next year. To give a 31-year-old receiver a 3-year contract, that just doesn't really happen, especially to someone like Odell. And if I'm being honest with you guys, I could see Odell it being his last year because he's not just a football player, right? He's all about social media. He's like a fashion guy, you know what I'm saying? Like, to me, he doesn't need the NFL, And so he's back for 15 to 18 million. Why wouldn't you say no to that, right? Or why wouldn't you say yes to that, But to me, I could.
No, shut up. He's not Josh Gordon.
XFL,
no, he's not Josh Gordon. Look, I'm looking at it right now. The Chiefs had Juju on a 10.8, so an $11 million contract for 1 year last year. Odell could get on a Chiefs thing for.
But who did he have throwing to him?
No, but I'm saying.
Patrick Mahomes throwing to him.
Huh? But what I'm saying, no. What I'm saying is Juju got that 11 million off of what? Trubisky throwing to him on the Steelers. Odell can get it from Huntley throwing to him on the Ravens, and then he could get there. And I'm not even saying he makes the 11 million. He makes 8-9 million for 3 years.
I hear you, but KJ, real quick, think about the age aspect of it. That's all. You're comparing Juju last year. I think he was 26 when he signed that deal, right? 25, 26. About Odell next year, who will be 31. So you got to remember, there's a big age difference. Like, obviously, Odell's better than Juju.
And then how many receivers are going to come out of the draft next year as well? You got to add that on to the
Efren, that's a good question. That's a good point. So this year's class, they have 3 to 4 guys who are projected to be number 1 receivers, but none of those guys are superstars. Okay, Quentin Johnson from TCU is probably the 3rd best guy. The best guy is Jackson Smith and Jigba from Ohio State. No, and he's a slot guy, though. I'm saying so. Yeah, this class isn't that good, but to your point, the next year's class is supposed to be way better. So it's like, why would we then sign Odell, who's 31 next year, to 10 million, 8 million, whatever, when the next year's class is supposed to be way better than this year's class? You know what I'm saying?
Oh, you have
this year.
You have Marvin Harrison Jr. coming out next year, I think.
No, Efren, that's my point. That's what I'm saying. It's like why would you want to sign Odell next year to an 8-10 million deal when you have this phenomenal receiver class?
Okay, but is Kansas City getting one of those top receivers?
Yeah, in the draft you are.
I'm not talking about. Well, KJ, I'm just strictly talking about Odell Beckham, right? Because you said, well, he can probably get 8 to 10 million next year. Well, I just don't think a 31-year-old guy,
even if it's 7 million, he could get that for 3 years. He just wants to find a home.
We'll get not for 3 years. 1 year, sure, maybe 1 year. You might be right, but I doubt for 3 years, man. I mean, I doubt it. He's been on a 1 year thing packed for the last couple years now, but especially
No, he had whatever he had in New York, and then he had like a 3 or 4 year with the Browns and got traded that year. This is the
Right.
only 1 year deal he's had.
I'm saying he's been, and since then he's been on a 1 year pact. I'm saying he after the Browns, once he got traded to the Rams, after he's been let go, like last year was all 1 year deal if you remember, but he was still recovering. But teams
He
that
wasn't
were
on a
going,
team,
exactly, because he was
so
still
he wasn't on
recovering.
a 1 year deal.
They wanted to give him 1 year deals.
Who
He
did?
didn't want a 1 year deal.
Well, who?
Listen, KJ, before you talk, please. I'm just saying, since last year, he's been on a 1 year pact. He's wanted a 1 year deal. Teams have gone for a 1 year deal, but he was hurt, right? So he couldn't sign the deal. But I'm saying teams and him, he wanted a 1 year deal last year, but they didn't know him and the teams. They didn't know if he'd be healthy, okay? He clearly wasn't healthy, so he didn't get that 1 year deal.
Efren just said that the Rams offered him a 1 year deal.
No.
He didn't want a 1 year deal. He wants a long term deal. He didn't want a 1 year deal.
Long-term deal. How would he get a long-term deal? He just had an ACL tear. You know what I'm saying? So he's been
wasn't that what he wanted with Dallas, Efren? He wanted a long term deal.
No, he wanted a long term deal, but Dallas denied him.
Exactly. He doesn't want a 1 year deal.
But he was hurt.
He might have wanted. At the end of the day, we're just speculating. We don't know. Like, show me the article that said he wanted a long-term deal from Dallas. But my point is, at the end of the day, right now, since last year, he's been on that 1 year pact. Again, last year, no one was talking about long-term deals because, again, he just tore his ACL, guys. Like, well, how would they talk about? How would the Cowboys or any other team talk about a long-term deal
You don't even know what he's going to do. You don't even know what he's
half the team. And half the teams knew he wasn't even going to play last year, so he couldn't have wanted a long-term deal. That's my point. So I'm just saying, since last year, it was a 1 year pact because of his injury history. So, end of the day, my point is, when he's 31, he's not getting a 3 year deal like you think, KJ. And you might be right. You might be right, and that's fair. I'm not saying you're crazy for saying that. Like, you're not. You know, I just don't think as a 31-year-old, he's going to get these 3 year deals like you think he's going to do.
But want to know something, guys? One thing, and we're going to leave it off right here, is that Derrick Henry will be a free agent this year. He'll be cut, and it will be a Dallas Cowboy.
Shut up.
You talking about this offseason?
No, he might get cut before that. They said he might get cut by the draft. They said he might get cut by the draft.
I've seen that. I don't think so. You know, I'm telling you, though, you know who I could see the Cowboys get, man, is your boy, Bijan Robinson, man. I'm dead ass serious, man. Like, that kid's
but they're leaving the door open for Zeke to come back.
All right. Well, all right. Wait. Yeah. Hold on. Yeah, sorry, I was looking at something else. I wasn't listening.
Right.
Listen.
They're leaving the door open for Zeke to come back. So Zeke can come back and they'll sign him.
So you're saying that Odell would be 31 by the end of this season, or by the start of next season?
Well, he's 30. He's 30. He's going to be 30 this season, I believe, right? Like,
okay.
He's 30. I'm pretty sure. Okay, well, I'm just saying, like I said earlier, I'm pretty sure this season he's playing as a 30-year-old. So he'd be playing as a 31-year-old next season.
Either way, what I'm saying is, if he has a halfway decent year, I know he's not going to have a great year, like you said, because Huntley's going to be throwing to him. Maybe Lamar plays, we don't know. We're speculating on that. But if he has a decent enough year, I mean, I'm looking at a lot of these top receivers, they're 30 right now. So, and you're saying that if he has a good season, could he get a 3 year deal? Or you're saying not at all because he's over 30. He's going to be 31.
I'm saying, KJ, he hasn't played in a year and 4 months. Okay,
but
so
that's what I'm saying is, if he plays a good year, do you think he could get a 3 year deal?
No, I'm saying, yeah, you think he will, and I'm saying you're not crazy for thinking that, right? I'm just saying, do I think he will? No, I don't think he will. That doesn't mean it's impossible, no. But I'm just saying, you understand, he's 30. He hasn't played in a year and a half. He's now 30, basically. He's not going to have a good QB situation, and so my thinking is it's going to take. I don't think he's going to be that I don't think he's going to stand. But put it this way, I don't think he's going to be an 8 million to 7 million type of player like you think he might be. Now, 1 year, sure, but I don't think he's going to be good enough to get that 7 to 8 million for 3 years in a row, like you think. You know, I mean,
do you think he could be as good as Keenan Allen?
Hold on. Who does Odell remind you guys right now of that was an older receiver back in the day trying to do the same thing?
I don't know. I didn't watch the NFL back that far.
There's been so many different receivers, and to your question, KJ, they're just such completely different type of players, man. You're talking about one guy who's strictly a possession guy who does get hurt during the season, but he's just been so consistent. And Odell is the guy who will sit out, and Odell is the guy who, there's a lot of, trauma.
Well, there's this play right here. Des Bryant. The Ravens did the same thing. Remember, nobody wanted to give him a shot. Nobody. And look at when he did get a shot with Lamar. Remember, he had Lamar.
What year Lamar?
Yeah.
But no, what year Lamar? Was it pre-MVP when people were saying he couldn't throw?
No. Well, I don't even know. I forgot when, but it wasn't even.
It wasn't that long.
They didn't even use him. They didn't even know how to use him as a receiver.
Yeah, but they didn't know how to use Lamar as a quarterback. People were saying he should go to running back still. No, if it's pre-MVP.
But the thing is, that's what I'm trying to tell you. That's what they're going to do with Huntley. If he's just starting quarterback in Baltimore and he doesn't know how to throw to his receivers, what makes you think this is not going to be the same Des Bryant part? Look it up. He got a contract with the Ravens. Everybody thought, he's going to do good. Later on, I wouldn't doubt week 2 or week 3, Odell being cut, just like they did to Dez.
Well, okay, no. So Dez missed 2 years. He was on Dallas in 2017 and then didn't play 18 or 19. So he missed 2 years. And then he only played
with Odell.
No, it's only 1 year. He played in the Super Bowl and got injured and then had the offseason and missed 1 season. Dez missed 2 full seasons plus the off seasons. And he only played 6 games with Baltimore. And I doubt he got a $15, $18 million contract. He does definitely didn't get anywhere near that.
Look it up real quick. Can't you look it up? I mean, it shouldn't be that too hard.
Yeah, but yeah,
if it was 2020 season though, Lamar Jackson, that would have been his MVP year, right? Or
no, 2019 was his MVP year, so the year afterwards. Yeah, he signed a 1 year, $1 million contract with the Ravens. He didn't sign no $15 million. So Des Bryant was way worse than Odell was at this point, and he had missed 2 years compared to 1. And I mean, you guys got to realize how far. I mean, we're not talking like Derrick Rose times. We're not talking Derrick Rose times. ACL tears are so common that the medical field has gotten so much better with them. ACL tear is not that crazy anymore.
I didn't say nothing about Dez, KJ, by the way. So, but I'm just saying, like,
yeah.
But I'm saying he said you guys got to remember. That's all I'm saying. But like for me, it's just again, you talking about Odell. He hasn't played for literally a year and a few months. So he hasn't worked out at all. So I want to see him first, man. I want to see him. And again, I'm banking on a 30-year-old next year being 31. I don't. Again, we'll see. And it really is an interesting debate because we don't know, right? So we don't know the QB situation. We kind of think it's going to be Hundley, right? But for all we know, maybe Lamar does play, right? Plays really well, and if he does, and Odell was like healthy, he's doing his thing, then that's best case. And then, man, yeah, maybe the following year, Odell could certainly get maybe a multi-year contract, And again, I wouldn't necessarily doubt that he could maybe get a $7 to $8 million deal next year, but that would probably be his best case. For me right now, I'm banking on, again, Hundley being the QB. I think Odell, I don't think he's going to show that he's a number 1 receiver anymore. Personally, I just don't, and it's fair for me to think that. And it's fair for you not to think that, right? But again, 31, I just don't see him getting another long-term deal at the age of 31,
The only reason why I bring up the whole Juju thing is because Odell would never yeah, I don't remember a single point this season where anybody was saying Odell's on his way out the league. Whereas after the whole Super Bowl thing and Juju talking shit, you got other people saying, bro, you were on your way out the league with the Steelers before Kansas City signed you. So at that point, it's not even about the age thing.
I don't think he was. Juju
No, but I'm just saying.
Juju wasn't.
No, but I'm not saying from a stat perspective, but I'm saying what people were saying, like even if it's not true, if there's a narrative about it, Odell never had that narrative about him being out the league because of his ACL tear.
Like you said, Efren, that's not true. That's just Twitter talk, And like,
no, an NFL player tweeted it.
Who did?
What's his name?
But it's talking trash.
Okay, but what I'm saying is nobody's ever said that.
Trash, it's not his fault. You couldn't stop him. In Pittsburgh, it was Chase Claypool and Juju and Washington. Juju was still putting in work. Let's
With
be
with
honest.
with and
With-
Efren, remember Big Ben season when he was terrible,
Yeah.
absolutely terrible.
Yeah, he put in
more than 10 yards.
Yeah, Juju put in a lot of work with Pittsburgh with his 15 receptions the last year he was there. In
Yeah, he
his
wasn't that
5
good.
games that he played. He was ass.
Big Ben was worse. But so then, how much money did Juju make for the Chiefs? What was that contract, KJ?
11 million 1 year.
But that's the point, though. Like Efren, like you just said, like we said, he was never close to being out the league because the Chiefs, the best organization right now in the league, gave him 11 million. They thought he was an $11 million player, so he was never close to even being out the league. You know.
I don't know, man. I'm just saying, I feel like Odell has a better chance of getting a long-term contract than you guys think. And it's just
Well, I
my
said we'll
opinion.
figure
Like
it
you
out.
said, we'll have to see.